look at Romans 12:1, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So you see here the idea of sanctification, or to be set apart for good use, according to the will of God. Now, if you think about it as a war of sanctification, what this kingdom series is all about, the beginning of the kingdom series, is understanding that there is spiritual warfare, but also to give you a sense of urgency, to understand that it's not something that you should look at as being on what I call picnic mode, where you just kind of pick and choose on how quickly and what the process is going to look like that you're going to be sanctified by. Also, should be knowing that the Holy Spirit does the sanctifying. So when you think about it properly, you have to understand, you want to look at it as this war over God's glory is a war of sanctification, and it's a war over worship, which is what you see here in Romans 12:1, is that your spiritual worship is to be holy and acceptable to God, or to be set apart, right? And that's your spiritual worship. Well, what else is in the spiritual places? Demons, angels, Christ, right? And you hear about spiritual warfare quite a bit. I'll read to you a passage on that. We are looking at, sorry, I already had it set apart. 2 Corinthians 10:3-5. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. That's not the ESV. I'm using ChatGPT. Bothers me not to hear it that way, but that's the same thing. So knowing that our spiritual warfare has to do with our sanctification, and it has to do with that we're a vessel for worship, and that we should be directing our worship towards God, yet we direct it towards demonic forces or things that the devil has set up in this system of the world, right? And our flesh is very much acquainted with that. It very much is used to that instant gratification that you can get by putting your mind's attention and heart's affection on something that you can get instant gratification from. And that instant gratification is that worshiping of something that is considered an idol. Second commandment, do not have idols, right? Now keep in mind, we're not looking at this in a legalistic framework. We're not saying if you do these things, you go to hell. That can be true, but you want to put that in the justification column. You're justified by Christ through his work on the cross, by grace through faith. Now, sanctification is something that you are being set apart, made holy, and being put to good use